Now, if you're starting off with writing for a purpose with preps, and of course they're new preps, so let's assume that they can't write at all yet, and they're learning to write, so early stages of writing. Still use your whiteboard, your pen or paper and pencil, but you need your coded words, your high frequency words. They're the King's helpful words, and they're 7 Duck Level Awards, which covers about 440 high frequency words that have been coded. Coded meaning we've linked the way we say the words, the speech sounds in those words, with what we see. It, him. This is not phonics, this is coding. The, it's, this. K or d, could. And what we do with an SSP to further help with this fast mapping is we use duck hands. Here's my duck hand. So what we're doing is every time we say the speech sound in the word, we use our duck hand and we go from left to right. So could, if I didn't see it, I would go k or d. There we go. So k or d. That's what they need to know before they even worry about what goes on there. If they can't hear k or d, they're going to struggle with reading and spelling. So all the things we do in SSP are overcoming phonemic awareness and auditory processing difficulties so that the reading and spelling makes sense. So that it means we don't have to memorise, they don't have to guess. So even with the spelling, could, k or d, k or d. So this is a picture for or, and here it is in the or spelling cloud. And remember, the spelling clouds represent the speech sounds. Forget letters, they represent the speech sounds. Okay, so we're coming to writing with our preppies. W, o, z. You think about phonics. Phonics would confuse a lot of the children because they would think, well, this has to be w as, whereas it's not. This is the word for was, and we say w, o, z. Duck hands. W, o, z. So that is a picture for w, that is a picture for o, that is a picture for z. W, o, z. And what is important is the brain can hear the sounds and link them, fast map them with the pictures of the speech sounds. We call them pictures of speech sounds because if I listen for w, o, z, and I can play it with my spelling piano, w, o, z. What do I play on 3? Z. What do I play on 1? W. What do I play here? O. W, o, z. So we think about that for the speech sounds. Supposing I was to take a picture with my magic speech sound camera of that w, o, z. I'm going to take a picture of w. Say it, w. Take a picture. Well, this is the picture for w in the word was. Listen for the o. W, o, z. W, o, z. Let's take a picture of the o in the word was. O. Let's take a picture of the z in was. W, o, z. Was. There it is. W, o, z, was. We can't change this. This is how it's spelt. So we have to think about what we say and the speech sounds in the way that we say it. W, o, z, was. So if you start with this, and especially if you say that makes a, well, actually it doesn't. Here it makes an o. Think about, what about this word? If we use a word with the same number of speech sounds, what about any? E. There, it's a picture of e.
So the spelling cloud relates to the speech sound. The sound pick that's in bold, you can see here, you might think of it as the letter E, that relates to the explicit teaching within the 4 code levels. Within the 4 SSP code levels, we're actually making sure that the children are really confident using 90 of the most commonly used sound picks. 90 of them. There are about 200, 250 in the whole of the English language, but it covers 90. So here, the first one that we learn for would be this one. But there are the other choices. So we're never limiting children by using phonics. SSP is not a phonics program, it is a coding program.
So what matters is that the children, first of all, don't worry about this part. The main thing at the beginning and all the way through, first of all you start with oral language and phonemic awareness, so they can do this. Then you teach the code alongside phonemic awareness as well. And we're doing fast mapping so that the children get to know all 200 to 250 odd sound picks that represent the speech sounds that we use in our English language. And that's it. Between 200, 220, 240 odd in the whole of the English language. The only words you can't map are those. That's it. All the other words can be mapped. W, o, just doesn't map. But every other word can. But let's start with getting the children to listen. So we're coming to do some writing with some new preps. And what we're doing is we're going to have these so that the children understand what we're doing. Let's leave that one out. Actually, no, let's choose another one out of duck level 1. Let's choose, what's this one? Let's do my. Okay, so supposing the children were going to write, now you're going to talk, you might have read a story, what can we, answer on a question, anything you want, it doesn't matter. What we want is oral language. We want the children talking, and we want the children to understand that what we're going to do here is actually we're going to put our talking on paper. All this writing that grown-ups do is just talking on paper. So we're going to need to show them what it is and exactly how we know how to do it. So supposing we've talked first of all, so we can put that away. So we've talked first of all, and supposing the sentence they want to write, it might be their news or whatever. So the sentence the child might want to say is, I went to my dad's house. Okay, so we're going to say, right, hold on to that. Can you remember it? If I come back to you in a minute, can you remember it? I went to my dad's house. So what we're going to do is think, okay, talking on paper. First of all, let's do what we can hear. Now keep the sentence short. And what you're going to do first of all, so they've held the sentence. Let's say the sentence was, I went to my dad's house, because it was news. Monday morning, and we're doing our news. I went to my dad's house. First of all, they're going to duckhand it. I went, went to, to, my, my, dad's, dad's. What was the last one? House, house. Now, if the children are ready, and we actually, because of the visual prompts on the poster, they're used to doing the duck hands, doing the lines and the numbers. So they might do I, went, to, I, does, house. Now here, it's actually going to take them a few weeks to get to that stage because they've gone the sounds, but they're actually going left to right, going to the next sentence. So there are a lot of skills in there, but this is what you're going to build up to. So they're going to be able to do that. And then even if they don't know the sound picks of the choices for those speech sounds that go on there, you can fill those in. But this is the most important thing for the structure. So I, and you might get that out for their, of their duck levels. The children would tell me far quicker where I is. There you go. So might say, there it is, I. That's the word for I. I, and then they might copy it. Went. Now I would put the numbers underneath for them because in prep in the first week or so they're not going to be drawing their numbers properly. Went. What can you hear there? Went. Right, let me fill it in. There's the picture for went. I went to. What do we hear here? To. ooh, two, and you might show it them in here. Sorry, it's difficult to film and look at these at the same time. Two, ooh, ooh. I went to my, again, you might show it to them. My, my. So you're going to build it up. So some of the children you'll find, if you show them where it is, then they can copy it there, or sometimes you have to do it for them. It depends on their fine motor control, depends on all sorts of things. I went to my dad's, and then I might say, oh, do you know, this is a really important word because it's his name. I'm going to do this, and this is a capital letter. So you can introduce the punctuation, grammar and punctuation, whilst you're doing this. And you also put, I'm going to put that there. And sometime soon we're going to tell you why. It's because it belongs, the house belongs to Dad. Don't worry, because they're not going to take that in, but you're just saying it. And as you keep showing it and everything you're doing, with some children it'll go in very quickly, and some children it'll go in when they're where they're ready, and some children you'll have to actually formally teach it. But we're going to say, so what do we miss? Can you remember your sentence? I went to my dad's house. House. Ow. This is why we've got it in black, grey, black, to show where the speech sounds split. Ow. House. Ow. House. Now, as they're moving up, as they're getting, you know, they're learning more of the code, they might know what the picture of hurt might be, and they might do it on their own. And then they might say, oh, I think this is a s. So we say, yes, go and have a go. Hurt, ow, s. Now, I'm going to tell you that's the ow, and then I might show them the word hurt, ow. Now, you see, it's a different picture for s. So you change yours, so it's a different picture for s, for this, and you've added it in. And then you get them to go back and read their sentence. So it's a sentence they've constructed and a sentence you've helped them to write. Even if you've actually written it, you've shown them how we construct it when we change what we say, when we translate it onto paper. I went to my dad's house. Now, this is why these are so important, and especially they're coded, because when they're first learning phonics, let's say they've only learnt these. Supposing you just do a focus on these, and that's so they understand how to decode and encode. They understand that if I follow the sounds, let's say p, at, that's the word pat. Supposing I want to spell the word nip, what would they do? They'd go ip, because they've got to do the order. So when we actually write them, we do them left to right, but they've got to be able to decode and encode, so that's read and spell, using just a small group, so they understand the skills and concepts. But let's say they're only doing these. Well, none of these will build the words for this. And this is the short sentence what the child wanted to write. And we want the child to write what they want to write. These are all high frequency words. They're all in here. So use the resources we have for SSP to scaffold the learning, the teaching. And remember that it's a skills acquisition program. It's a skills acquisition process. There is no point the child saying to you, I want to say I went to my dad's house, and then you just write it on a piece of paper for them. You write it on a piece of paper for them and they go off and they copy it. That's actually not going to teach them anything. They need to hold on to that sentence to know it's a sentence that we can put down on paper. But also, like if you said to them, where did you go at the weekend, they say Dad's house. Well, the whole thing is that we want the child not to put Dad's house, because it's not you're not using a writer's voice, you're just writing a few words, but it needs to make sense to the person who's reading it. So that's why we're talking about, okay, let's put that in a sentence. What about I had fun at my dad's house? Or what would you like to say? So they might have ended up with, I went to my dad's house at the weekend, or I went to my dad's house. So they've come up with that sentence. Then we have to show them how it's constructed. So we've done that. Now, after they've done it, you might then write it at the bottom without the lines and the numbers and all the rest of it. So you might write that and then say, so can you read that? Can you tell me the words with me? I'm going to point to it to show you which word I'm saying. I went to my dad's house. But this part of the constructing using the speech sounds to the sound picks, that's the part that trains the brain. This bit, you're jumping too many steps. You're getting them to run before they can walk. And I hope that's you. Children, because somebody was saying children in year 2 can't spell the word said.
Yeah, we can.
And I said, well, do you know, not only can they spell the word said, they will. Wait, video to show this person who drew. Not only
Good
that,
girl, Mary. Thank you.
Good
girl. Olivia.
3. Draw the 3 lines.
Good job, Olivia.
And put your choices on the top.
Good job, Zach.
Now, I also want you to think within SSP, what we're also doing is teaching them to write really quickly and neatly. So the mechanics of how they form their letters is really important. And we recommend the read, write, ink letter formation phrases because that also helps with mapping. It also helps with the children to understand the speech sound links with the sound picks. Round the apple, up down the leaf. Or think of down Nobby, up over his net. You can write these green level words really quickly, even just being able to form these 6 sound picks. Look how we do it with the help of the RWI phrases. Let's go. It, sit. Can you draw the letter? Slither down the snake. Ant. Draw the letter. Round the apple, up and down the leaf. Ap, tap. Down the tower, across the tower. An, pan. Down his plat, up round his head. Put in, pin. Down his body and up for his head. The pin is spinning. Ap, nap. Down Nobby, up over his net. So it's a really, really good way to teach the children to form their letters correctly, quickly and easily, and it is in line with the UK directive that they are using cursive or precursive as early as possible. Some letters lead themselves to join with the next letters and some don't. And what we want is the child to develop their own style that works for them, but that allows them to write as quickly as possible so it's legible, neat, uniform size. We don't want large letters, we don't want print, we don't want them taking their pencils off the paper. So unfortunately, I cannot recommend anything that talks about sticks or open mouths. Those connections, those pathways just aren't going to be made for all children. Anything that has an open mouth and a stick means that the children are going to see a letter that will naturally lead them to want to take the pencil off the paper every time they do the stick. And what we want with the letters is that they don't come off the paper unless absolutely necessary. The quicker they can form every letter of the alphabet really quickly and easily without having to stop to think how to form it or what it looks like, the quicker they're writing. So I want them writing, forming every letter correctly, well before the end of term 1 in prep. It's got to be effective writing mechanically. We need the children to flow, and to flow with round, flowing letters that have a logical exit. So it's actually going to end up with a mixture of precursive and cursive writing. The focus can be on what they write. As teachers, we can then manage our time more effectively. We can spend more time on content and meaning and less on things like handwriting lessons. We don't need them.